Hi, my name is Nicole, and this is the CK Diary Podcast. Hey guys, I hope you are having a great week. It is so good to see you guys. I'm excited to chat with you guys today. I don't have all that much to share with you. I have one finished object, I have a couple of whips, and that's really all that I've got for you. We had a busy weekend this past weekend. My son is turning 5, or my oldest son is turning 5 on Friday? Nope, Thursday. He's turning 5 on Thursday, the 27th. And we went and kind of celebrated it this past weekend. We'll do something on his actual birthday too. But this past weekend I think it's called A Day Out with Thomas. And they travel all over the US. But it was in Tampa this weekend, which is about, I think, like a 3.5 hour drive. So we went to Tampa for the Day Out with Thomas, and then we went to Disney for his birthday, or to, have a little bit of a longer celebration just for the whole weekend. And we stayed at, uh, I'm like getting way ahead of myself. Tampa is like an hour, or I'm trying to think, it's like an hour and a half away from Disney. So we stayed in Orlando, drove down to Tampa, drove back to Orlando, and went to Disney on Sunday. So we did the Day Out with Thomas on Saturday, and we stayed at Art of Animation, which is a Disney property, on Friday night and Saturday night. And it was a lot of fun. It was really nice to do that trip. The boys really enjoyed it, and we'll probably do it again next year. It was a lot of fun, and it was way more than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be a 30-minute train ride, but it's actually like an all-day event. You can stay as long as you want, until they close. But they have all kinds of games and bounce houses and food vendors and lemonade stands, and you get to meet the characters. It's really cute. But anyway, I guess I kind of got all my life stuff out in the open. I'll have a little bit more life stuff to share with you guys, but I just kind of wanted to tell you why I didn't get a whole lot done this week. Last week we were gone every day too. We went to the beach and to parks and stuff. One second. Sorry about that. I know I've talked about it on the podcast before if you've watched, but usually, I shouldn't say usually, like 50-50, half the time I record my podcast on the boys' naps, and I just laid my boys down, and my oldest needed my help with something. So I just helped him and then came back. So let's see, where was I? We were talking about, that I went to the beach last week with the boys, and we went to a few different parks that were kind of out of the way. There's this really awesome park. It's like an hour from us. It's called James F. Holland Park, and it's in Palm Coast. If you are ever in the area with your kids, that is a really, really awesome park. The playground is insane. It's beautiful and it's huge, and they've got all kinds of different things. They have like a little rock climbing type wall. They've got a couple of different play structures. They've got a huge tree house. They've got a big tunnel that you can go in and climb through. They've got a huge sandbox with they're in the sandbox. They're like in the ground, these cranes that the kids can sit on and dig up the dirt. And then there's an entire skate park and then an entire splash pad, but it's not like a little splash pad that you would find at a public park typically, or a neighborhood. It is a huge splash pad. Like, I'm shocked that you don't have to pay for it. It's huge. It's awesome. And so we made the hour drive down there last week to go to that. So just a busy week. Didn't get a whole lot of knitting done. But over the weekend, we were in the car for several hours. So I got quite a bit done in the car. So let me show you my finished object first. I need to fix it a little bit. But I finished my Grimblewood cottage, and I'm so excited that I finished it. It turned out so cute. So I know this is a little wonky, but it is what it is. But I embroidered the lines on these pieces of felt around the door, and then the little doorknob. And then I hand sewed these to this. So I got to use a few different skills. I got to practice a few different skills, which was nice. And then in the bottom here, I put in a piece of cardboard. I put some beans on top of that to kind of like weigh it down. And then I filled it up with wool. I bought wool. I'll put the link down in the bio for the wool that I bought. It said it was pure and natural. And I couldn't really find a whole lot of specs about it other than that. So I'm hopeful that it is really just pure and natural. Nothing. It didn't look like it was treated or colored or anything. So I'm hopeful. But I'll put down below where I got that from. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm just kind of annoyed because you can hear like the beans aren't supposed to be down there, and they are. And they're supposed to stay on top of the cardboard, and they're not. And that's kind of annoying me. And I was very careful with how I cut the cardboard out. I made sure that it fit in this bottom square down here. I made several different cuts to make sure it fit properly. And it doesn't really stay. So I don't know. I'm sure that was user error. I don't know. But I told my boys, because I know last podcast I said I wasn't going to do the beans, but then I was worried about the shape of the cottage if I didn't do the beans. But I think it would have turned out fine if I didn't do the beans or the cardboard. So I told the boys that this would probably just be a piece that they would just sit and not really play with a whole lot. I mean, they still can play with it. It's easy. It's easy to fix. See, like all the beans are gone now. It doesn't take a whole lot. But still would probably be annoying to play with frequently if you have to constantly fix it. But I'm very happy with how it turned out. I used the palette yarn by Knit Picks. It's a fingering weight yarn. I don't remember. I think this was called Finley, this gray. And then this is the current colorway. But I'm happy with how that turned out. And I'm glad it's done. It is one of, I don't know where my list went, but last week and the week previous, or the week before that, I showed you guys my list of whips that I want to get done before June. And that was on there. That is the second whip that I carried over from last year that I've knocked out. So I'm really excited about that. Now for some whips. Oops, I knocked some needles down. This is my Evermore sock set that I got from Discord. This was one of the Rowan Yarns, one of the limited edition things that she put out. So she doesn't sell it anymore, but I love these. I love these colors. My friend Katie over at Katie's Randomness, I think she knit a hat out of this, and I asked her where she got it from. And she told me it was a limited edition yarn. And then like a month later, she saw it on Discord and sent it over to me. So that was really nice of her to tell me about it, to remember that and send it to me. And then I snagged it. And I'm really happy with how it's turning out. This is the main colorway. And then this is the mini that came with it. And I asked you guys which you would do. Like, would you do heel or cuff, heel, and toe in the yellow, or just cuff and toe, or cuff and heel, or heel and toe, whatever. Because I didn't know for sure if I would have enough for all three, and someone suggested that I do the heel in the main sock color, and then do the cuff and the toe in the mini, which is what I decided to do, and it's turning out really cute. I'm doing Vanilla Sock on Magic Loop by Crazy Sock Lady, and I'm using 2.5mm needles, which now I think my tension is starting to loosen up a little bit. I had a really tight tension whenever I first started knitting, and I think it's because I was kind of like tense and anxious, so I was knitting really tightly, and now I'm starting to relax a little bit, and my gauge is a little bit looser, so I might be able to scooch it back to 2.25mm needles, but I'll have to see. I'll probably see how this sock fits and then determine it after that. All right. And for my last whip that I have to share with you guys today, I am so excited about this. I finally started my heirloom quilt cardigan. This is by I believe it's Katrin Seeberger. Heirloom quilt cardigan. Yes, Katrin Seeberger. And I am so excited about this. Look how good it looks. So this is my first real colorwork project. I started I think it was called the winter dress by Knitting for Olive, and it was that was going to be my first knitwork or colorwork project, but I had to hold, I think it was 4 strands. It was 3 or 4 strands. It was all getting tangled. It was fingering weight, and I was not doing well. It was very stressful for me. More stress than what it was worth, because I want my knitting to be relaxing and fun. But this project, however, is super fun. I am having such a great time with it. It has a really great rhythm to it. I mean, you can kind of see like how or not the decreases, but how the color work works, where you're like doing one less per row or one more per row or however it is. And so there's just a really good rhythm to it. And I feel like I'm not having to constantly look at the pattern to see what's next. I can kind of figure it out on my own as I go. And it has been so nice. I just have to show it one more time. It looks so good. I'm so excited about it. So my first real color work project, and I'm having a blast. These are the colors that I'm using. These are the ones I'm currently using, but I grabbed these so I could tell you what they were. I don't think they have the name on it, but it does have the, trying to see, it does have the number. So this is 197 and this is 207. So 197, 207. I don't remember the colorway names, but I'll pop those on the screen here. This is the Rowan Felted Tweed. Just hold one up. Hold that one. The Rowan Felted Tweed. It is 50 grams, and the blend is wool, alpaca, and viscose. I was trying to find a tweed that was all natural. I don't know what their viscose is made out of, but I think it's typically made out of bamboo. So I went with this one because it was really hard to find a tweed that wasn't acrylic. But yeah, anyway, I'm very happy with how it feels. I'm very happy with how it's turning out, and I just think this is going to be such a cute project. And I'll work on it slowly but surely. I'm not in too much of a rush because it's 80 today and it's not gonna be cold for quite some time here in sunny St. Augustine. But that was the last whip I had to share with you today. And I really don't have anything else. I didn't read anything this week. We've been on the go so much. We didn't really even watch anything because we've been just going and doing so much. And the only thing I think I really have left to share with you guys is the pattern spotlight. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, it's recording. So this is the Islander by Kitty Winks Knits. I wanted to knit this for my sons for this year. I just think this is such a precious sweater. And I've only done cables once. I knit my brother's girlfriend a scarf for Christmas, and I cabled on that. That was my first cabled knit, and I loved it. So I wanted to incorporate cables in something that I'm making this year. However, it won't be this project because I was going through a bunch of different sweaters with my boys to see which ones they wanted. And one of my boys picked this, so I was so excited. And then he found one with a triceratops on it. So now we're doing a triceratops sweater, which is fine. I'm excited for that too. But I just think that this is so precious. Oh, look at that. That is so cute. Okay. So let's look at some information about it. I haven't even looked through this yet, really. So it is about $6.23 USD. It was published in 2020. The yarn weight that it suggests is a DK weight yarn, which whenever I knit a sweater, I have always used DK or worsted just because it goes by a little bit quicker. I would love to do a fingering weight sweater one day. I think that the tiny fine stitches would be beautiful, but I just have so many things I want to knit. I just don't have time right now. So many other things I want to knit. I don't know if that'll ever change, but we will see. All right, the needle size that it calls for is 4 millimeters. You'll need about 273 to 820 yards. And the sizes that she has available is 3 months, 6 and 12 months, 2 and 3 years, 4 to 5 years, 6 to 7 years, and 8 to 9 years. And let's read about it. The Islander is knitted in the round, which is my favorite way to knit a sweater. I've never knit a sweater not in the round, but I don't like knitting flat because I don't want to purl a bunch. So knitting in the round is my favorite. The main body is worked bottom up as one piece until the sleeves, when the front and backs are knitted separately. Sleeves are picked up and knitted top down. The shawl collar has short rows. So pretty straight and forward. And let's see, the pattern is for the more experienced knitter. There are cable, short rows, wrap and turn. and 3 needle bind off. All the cable designs have full written instructions as well as charts. So experienced, it says that that it's for more experienced knitters. I will say, I have only been knitting for a year and 3 months. Part of the reason why I started this podcast was because I wanted to keep a diary, an online journal for myself of where I started and, you know, where I'm going, like all throughout my knitting. But another reason why I wanted to start this podcast is because whenever I first started knitting, I was scared for like the first month to make anything because everything that I read said that things were hard, that you shouldn't do it if you were a beginner, all of these different things that you shouldn't try if you're a beginner because you're a beginner and you don't know how to do it. And then finally, about a month into knitting, where I had knit a couple of things that were flat, just to practice. It wasn't even like I wasn't even making a washcloth or anything. I was just practicing. And I wanted to make socks so bad. And so I finally posted on a knitting group that I was in that I wanted to make socks. And everyone commented that I shouldn't make socks, that I was a beginner, that I shouldn't make socks, that I should give that up until like a year in or whatever. And then somebody commented on the post and told me that a beginner can certainly make socks, that it's not as difficult as everybody was making it seem, and to go to the Crazy Sock Ladies vanilla sock tutorial on YouTube. I could buy the pattern and I could use that tutorial and I could learn how to make socks. And I did, and it was incredible. And that made me realize that oftentimes in anything, like anytime like with anything knitting or embroidery or crocheting or any kind of needle art that I've looked at, it's always the same. People will tell you not to try something if you're a beginner, which is kind of crazy because how are you ever going to learn how to do something if you don't do it? And it's okay to mess up. You can tear things back. You can start over. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time. You can make a really crappy pair of socks, but you learn how to make them. And that's the important part. And you don't have to wait a year to make a pair of socks. You don't have to do any other projects. You don't have to knit mittens. You don't have to knit a washcloth. You don't have to knit anything. If you want to make socks, learn how to make socks. And so that was another reason why I started this podcast, was because I wanted to encourage other beginners to make the things that they want to make and to not be scared, because the worst thing that's going to happen is that you're going to have to rip out a project, and that's not that bad. So with this sweater where it says that it's for a more experienced knitter, I've done cables, I've done short rows, and I've done a 3 needle bind off, and those things are not that hard. And I mean, they can be difficult and confusing at first, and they certainly were. The short rows were a little confusing at first, but we have access to so many helpful tutorials on YouTube. And I mean, if you know anybody in your life that knits and that's more experienced, I'm sure they would lend a helping hand. But if you get stuck on a pattern, I just like to, I mean, you can read through a pattern before you start it, but then just take it one step at a time. And if you get to something you don't know, look it up on YouTube, phone a friend. And I really think that even though this says that it's for the more experienced knitter, I think that anyone could do it if they have patience and a YouTube tutorial. But anyway, let's go look at some of the project pictures. I always like to go to project pictures just to see if most of the projects turn out the way that the pattern writer's pictures look. And they do. Oh my gosh, that is so cute. Okay. Yeah, this is super cute. And this is definitely something that I want to make eventually. Maybe whenever my boys are a little bit older, or whenever I have time just to make 2 sweaters for them in 1 year, which they're still small, so I should probably do it now. But anyway, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. All right. And I guess I can share a couple more life things. I know I talked to you guys last week about how I had some health things happen that kind of scared me a little bit. And I said that I was going to call my ENT and schedule the appointment because I was waiting for them to call me. And so I called my ENT, or it's not my ENT, I've never been there. It was the ENT that my doctor referred me to. I called the ENT, and they said that they hadn't gotten that far in the referrals yet. And I had waited for a week. So they had a bunch of referrals, and I knew that wasn't a good sign. And last week they told me that they couldn't get me in until May 1st, which kind of stressed me out because we have some travel coming up, and I just want to know what's going on. I don't think it's anything serious. My doctor, my primary, doesn't think it's anything serious, but I just want to get it checked out and have an idea of what's going on. And so I was just kind of bummed. And then they just called me this morning, a couple of hours ago, and told me that they have an appointment opening on Wednesday at 7:30 a.m. So I'm going to be going there, and I'm really excited that they were able to get me in earlier. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I didn't share with you guys. I think that's all. I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me today. I love chatting with you guys. I've had a few new subscribers over the last couple of weeks, and I really, really appreciate that. I'm excited to um, just grow my channel and be able to talk to more of you. And yeah, that is all. I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I will see you again next week. Bye.